Thanks for your company. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle, also on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144, on your digital televisions and around the world on myjoyonline.com. The details now. Former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has accused President Akufo-Addo of interference and attempt to make him a poodle. Martin Amidu resigned on Monday after 3 years in office. In a resignation letter, he says he does not feel that President Akufo-Addo has done enough to safeguard the independence of his office. Well, here are some portions of Mr. Martin Amidu's letter. Well, he says one cannot seriously continue to prevent and fight corruption by depending on seconded staff of a 2-year duration, renewable for another year, who are looking forward to end or over their shoulders to returning to their main employers who consequently, I beg your pardon, may have more influence over them than the special prosecutor under whom they are supposed to work. He also says, Your Excellency was acting as a judge in your own cause, usurping my functions to take any independent follow-up actions on the anti-corruption assessment report. And this is referring to the Ijapa deal. And he continues to tell the president, we now fundamentally disagree on non-partisan professional approach to the prevention of corruption and fighting corruption to make it a high-risk enterprise for public officers. And he says, I am prepared to meet the threats of my demise as the price to pay for serving my country without fear or favor. Now, Mr. Martin Amidu, in the third paragraph of that letter, says, the one condition upon which I accepted to be nominated as the special prosecutor was your firm promise, that's referring to the president, to me that you will respect and ensure same by your government for my independence and freedom of action as the special prosecutor. Your reaction to my letter on the analysis of corruption and anti-corruption assessment of the Ijapa deal convinces me beyond every reasonable doubt that you had labored under the mistaken belief that I could hold the office as your poodle. So let's take you back to February 23, 2018, when President Akufo-Addo swore Martin Amidu into office. He promised then in public to give him the independence he needed to work.
The Ghanaian people expect the office of the special prosecutor to rise to the challenge and to the occasion and collaborate with other existing law enforcement agencies to fight relentlessly. We expect the special prosecutor to discharge his duties vigorously, with courage, without fear or favor, ill will or malice, in accordance with the rule of law. The establishment of this office is for a high purpose and must not under any circumstances be used as an avenue for persecution or vengeance. The office will be required to do justice to all manner of persons. The overwhelming popular acceptance by the good people of Ghana and the strong consensus approval by Parliament of Mr. Amidu's nomination justify the confidence I repose in him. Indeed, his eloquence and grasp of issues displayed to the public during his recent vetting is further testimony of the soundness of his appointment. I want to assure him that not only will the executive, including the Attorney General, respect scrupulously the independence of his office, but will also provide him with whatever assistance is required to enable him to discharge his high duties effectively in the interest of the Ghanaian people. The recent publication of Ghana's score in the 2017 Corruption Perception Index, organized by Transparency International, showing a further drop in our standing, a result largely based on, quote, the plethora of corruption allegations, exposés before the onset of this administration, indicates the enormity of the task ahead.
Well, here's what Mr. Amidu said in response.
I would not have accepted to come to this job if I did not trust Your Excellency's integrity and honor. I have also given Mr. President my word of honor that I will discharge the duties of the burdensome office you have entrusted to my care with similar integrity and honor, with your support and assistance. Mr. President, I wish to assure you that the propaganda about witch hunting will not daunt me from prosecuting all corruption crimes without reference to political considerations. As you had yourself admonished, once a suspected offender is established by investigation to have committed offenses prosecutable in the national interest, I will treat crime as crime and nothing else. I thank you, Mr. President, and the Honorable Attorney General sincerely for the trust you both have put in me and in my capabilities. Above all, I wish to thank and assure Ghanaians that I will do my best to vindicate the trust that the whole nation put in me at my nomination and nomination approval hearing. I wish the public to know that nobody has served me personally with any writ or statement of case or injunction challenging my nomination, approval, and appointment so as to restrain me from accepting this appointment. Before concluding, Mr. President, I wish to use your presence to acknowledge a senior citizen from Accra without whom I might not have been available for this job. Professor J.N.D. Dodu was my former hall tutor at Commonwealth Hall and was formerly of the Department of Modern Languages, Legon. He ensured that I was not cheated out by the exclusion of my name from the LLB class list at the Faculty of Law after my first university exams, when I had qualified for placement on the program by merit. His actions almost 43 years ago contributed in no small measure to my passion for the defense of truth, fairness, integrity, transparency, and merit in public life, and must be publicly acknowledged for once. The General Legal Counsel may have a lot to learn from him at this time of the problems at the Ghana School of Law. Thank you once more, Honorable Attorney General and Mr. President. Thanks to all Ghanaians who stand against corruption.
So that's Mr. Martin Amidu after he was sworn in on the 23rd of February 2018. But before that, he had to be vetted. And in fact, many have spoken about the blunt nature in which he communicates and the fact that he doesn't mince words at all. Well, here's what Mr. Martin Amidu had to say about that character trait of his.
Mr. Chairman, thieves, first and foremost, fear experienced, tested, and credible investigators whom they cannot influence. That's the way to reduce crime. When the investigator, you know, is very experienced, very credible, has the capabilities to find wrong, you would not do it. So as chairman of Public Agreements Board, I try to stop most of these things. But as I said, I had a lot of problems. And so when the Constitution came into force and PNDC Law 42 lapsed, I was too happy because I didn't have to quarrel with my colleagues who thought that the best way was to cut corners. So I stuck to my work as Deputy Attorney General. And I remember being told that Parliament will handle it. So you go and sit somewhere. So I sat somewhere. But I still helped the Attorney General to review agreements. And the records are there. If you go and look at the agreements I reviewed, they will tell you that I say it as it is. This is not in the national interest, and therefore don't do it. Mr. Chairman, even as Attorney General, when the Chinese loan was brought to Parliament without my concurrence, I wrote a letter to the Council to say I had not given my approval. Honorable Joe Ajaho, I remember, as Deputy Speaker, said that unless they got my concurrence, he will not sit on it. So it had to be brought to me for review. I reviewed it. Before it came to Parliament, it was passed. That is my track record. This country is not a milking cow. It is for the people of this country, particularly the downtrodden and the poor ones. And I'm saying that that's my position. It will be whether I am approved or not, I will continue to fight for the people of this country.
That's the man we are talking about, Martin Amidu. He doesn't mince words at all. And many have also expressed some form of excitement about the way he's come out to point at the president for interfering in his work. But lawyer and former MP for Zebila, John Ndebugri, described the resignation of Mr. Amidu as one which was expected. He was one of the very first individuals to predict Mr. Amidu will resign after his appointment. Explaining the rationale behind his prediction, Mr. Ndebugri said the Special Prosecutor's Office was just like any other company in which the CEO reports to a board, a circumstance he believes does not insulate Mr. Amidu against any form of interference. He spoke on PM Express with Evans Mensah Monday night.
The law specifically says that the special prosecutor will prosecute cases subject to the mandate of the Attorney General. It is in the law. Secondly, the architecture I talked about, if you look at the law closely, you realize that it is like establishing a company. The Office of Special Prosecutor was established like a company. And the Special Prosecutor was merely the managing director of the company, with a board and its chairman and membership, which the Special Prosecutor could not, ignore, because it's not about putting one line that the Special Prosecutor in the performance of his function shall be independent. That doesn't solve the problem. You establish a thing like a company with a board, board chairman, board members, and so on, and simply made the Special Prosecutor the chief executive officer of the company. The chief executive officer cannot override the decisions of the board. That was one flaw which I tried to point out and which people didn't listen to. The more serious one is the one I have stated already, that the law also said that he was to prosecute cases on the authority of the Attorney General. So what was the purpose of setting up that office? Since the Attorney General was already available. I have said somewhere else that, look, maybe there is no need for that so-called Office of Special Prosecutor. Maybe a possible solution is to detach the Attorney General's office from the Minister of Justice and strengthen the Attorney General's office and make it really independent. So the Attorney General would deal with matters without any political lenses. And I don't even understand the meaning of Ministry of Justice. There's no need for a Ministry of Justice, because if we have a strong judiciary with a Chief Justice and the judges and so on, they are dealing with justice. What do you need a Ministry of Justice for? So if there's an Attorney General which is strengthened and made really independent. There's no need to go about establishing extra offices like that. But
you heard Mr. Ndebugri there. He also expressed concern about the security of Mr. Hamidu given the damning revelations he made in his resignation letter and calls for all to be equally worried for the former special prosecutor.
He says the event of 12 November 2020 have removed the only protection he had in connection with this matter. And therefore, he has no choice but to resign immediately. It means that it is the Rawlings who are protecting him in the performance of, in the thing. And we know that the Rawlings had good relations with the president and the government and so on. So let us think about that. My concern now is to ensure the security of Martin Hamidu, because the revelations he has made are very grave. The president himself has called him and tried to instruct him to use him as a poodle to cover up deeds that are taking place in his table. And I think we should be talking about that. Not these theoretical things about, the law has provided that he is independent. If the law says you are independent, and in actual fact on the ground you are not independent, does Martin have an army? Does he have a police force? Was he not to depend on the instruments of state? So please.
Well, there's been a lot of reaction to Mr. Hamidu's resignation. The Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Nanobri Boahin, says, well, it's not a big deal if Martin Hamidu has resigned. Ben Abdallah, who is chairman of Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, says that Mr. Hamidu's resignation has just confirmed the assertions of some that he is not up to the task as special prosecutor. But we came to you to find out what you make of Mr. Hamidu's resignation. Here's my colleague, Benjamin Akako, speaking to some people on the streets of Accra.
Let's go.
So here we are. What's your name?
My name is Kwesinyako.
Right. Have you heard that the special prosecutor has resigned?
Yes, I've heard that. I've heard he's resigned.
And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's quite amazing. I can't really understand. And the reason he even gave out that for some months or for some years he has not been paid. And, it's quite, I can't understand. I can't really understand why such all of a sudden getting to election, you just come out to say that you have resigned with that, shoddy, excuse. Ghanaians, you are not fools. Maybe something is actually happening that makes me, or somebody has instructed him, or maybe something fishy. So he just want to resign so that we can just, overlook it. But aside that, there's no reason for what he has.
You think there's something fishy going on? He says those working with him were being bribed, and that people in government are not allowing him to do his work. And
that is what is happening. People are thinking that this NPP government, I don't want to politicize what is happening, but people are saying this NPP government are influencing. They have an influence over it. They're not allowing him to do what he wants to do. And if we're in power, the reason I was saying that I can't really understand what is happening is that he is saying people are not allowing him to do what he's supposed to do. So that means that there's no need for him to be in that office. He's not willingly doing what he's supposed to do. So, you can't just put somebody over there and then be controlling the person. So that is why, I don't understand what is happening in.
So for you, it makes sense that he has resigned?
It doesn't make sense to me in a way, and it makes sense to me in a way. It's two things. Either one, he and the party or whoever is influencing him has come together to take that decision he has taken, or he thinks that people are influencing him, are pressuring him for what he wanted to do that they are not permitting him to do. So I think it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me in two ways. So
thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Ebusia, morning. What you want to say?
I don't really understand.
What you saying?
My name is Joe.
Your name is?
Joe.
Joe.
Yes.
Joe, have you heard that the special prosecutor Martin Hamidu has resigned?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? What are you saying? What do you think?
It's two things, like my brother was saying, that maybe somebody is influencing him to resign, or the pressure on him for the work is too much.
What do you think? From what you've seen in these last 3 years, what do you think?
Oh, I think like he cannot do the job. That is why he resigned. That is my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Let's move on. We've moved a bit further. We're around the Vienna City Bank of Ghana area now. Let's find out from our brother here. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Isaac.
The special prosecutor Martin Amidu has resigned. What do you think about it? Wodrin Hussein.
Oh, I need to say me who say be a Jumano. Nebia never been to Sinikakra. A man in Tinebia. Maybe an anima be a here or so the year Jumano when in Sanka. And I'm who say be a maybe an assam hopper and Tinamo to me because I send you went to me with Assamo.
Or patch say, Katasha Proebi Eka Arch, I say, on your year Jumano. I saw much GB Binti, Omun Jumadi, and I say, a bit more Abaimono, Omon Shadam Manaquai in Juma. What do you say?
And the man yard because one team 50 black pen resigns, because already Anamaka said, you as someone to the Candy, we are in the yard. Said you on the other Catas Senate you on Tinama, on a Zuha and a commanding team to a set or train on, and to our train when one on the class.
Let us say.
So that's my colleague Benjamin Akakpo there, picking some thoughts on the streets of Accra. But we've also been sampling others from social media. Let's get on to Twitter. And George says, see how Ghanaians had wished there wasn't any corruption. Martin Amidu resigned and people are in awe on how and what led to his resignation. It would be better if we all had a change of mind and practice what we've learned. He says, better Ghana. At Oswatara says, all the brouhaha around Amidu's appointment and resignation was a setup, he thinks, by the Akufo-Addo-led government to keep him silent from the activities. He was very loud in the Eswal Mahama administration, and the idea is appoint him and keep him silent. At Abu Saidu Amin says, weak systems. As a result of political interference, systems failed to work. Mr. Amidu was actually, he thinks, the best candidate for this job. Little did we know that it was a strategic appointment by, and he actually tags the president here, by at Nana Akufo-Addo to train a dog who had barked at his own boss in the past. He hashtags Joy SMS. There you have it. We're expecting a response from the presidency. We are yet to receive one. You know, this is your home of independent, credible journalism. Once we get what the president or the presidency has to say about Mr. Amidu's resignation, we'll definitely furnish you with all the details. But some residents in the northern region capital, Tamale, are calling for increased security in Tamale and its environs to protect lives and property. They say they've either been victims or seen a wide range of violent crimes, including armed robbery and assault. They lament arms are in wrong hands and people tend to use them at the least provocation. As we draw closer to the elections, JoyNews puts the spotlight on security within communities across the country and seeks answers from those in authority. Today we begin from the northern region capital, Tamale, where Martina Bugri reports.
The northern region has had its fair share of robberies and violent crimes this year. Areas noted for these crimes include Vitin, Kapa Yilifuo, communities around the School of Hygiene and circulated areas in the metropolis and its environs. Famous among these crimes were the Vitin mobile money robbery, the Kapa Yili fuel station robbery, where one person was killed, the robbery of a forest bureau operator, and the near rape of an 18-year-old girl whose rescuer was killed.
We used to hardly record what we call armed robbery or serious theft cases. But of late, you even find it very difficult to ride your motor from 9 p.m. and onwards. So these days, if at least the authorities will be able to help curb it, put what we call the Operation Calm Life, so that they will be putting a lot of checkpoints on our roads, it will be able to help us.
There was a tax in Tamale here, especially the filling station, mobile money vendors. Initially, when the issue started, they attacked one filling station around Kakpaayile, near the chief palace, and they killed the watchman and took everything from them. The state institutions, they intend to arrange some items like security barriers and the rest in town. So all they said, within some short period, they stop. Understand? After that, they begin to do the issue arise again. They start attacking mobile money vendors.
We have to let them to be very alert. You know, Northern Virginia, we don't feel safe at all.
With less than a month to go to the polls, the residents are worried with the already volatile situation and arms in wrong hands. The region may not be able to handle additional political violence. They are therefore calling for increased security in the area.
We are not at ease because of what is happening currently. Young guys killing people, making their motorbikes, breaking into people's rooms. When it comes to political tensions too, the kind of pronouncements people make at times it scares us. The security, the police, the fire, all the security agencies, they should come together to collaborate.
For the gun aspect, it's all about if you have money. If you come, they will sell for you without registration, without registering it.
Right now, we don't feel safe, and we are heading towards election. There was patrol team in town. But usually what they always do is that the patrol team do only patrol in Tamale Central, around this area. They don't go to the outskirts like Kakpaayile, Sanargu, Kupo, Wodke and the rest.
The residents say they are afraid to stay out late beyond 10 p.m.
Martina Bugru with that report. Let's speak to A.B.A. Fuseni. He's Member of Parliament for Sanerugu. Thank you for joining the show this morning, sir. So we had the last person in that report saying that the patrols are usually conducted or done in the Tamale Central Metropolis, and you don't have places like Sanerugu having the patrols that Tamale Central will have. Would you want to confirm that?
Yeah, let me say good morning to all your listeners. First and foremost, it's important first and foremost to situate this in the proper national context.
Okay.
I think the general overall security situation in the country seriously has deteriorated. And this is at a time when this government has had the highest security infrastructure. I mean, in terms of the persons that are manning our security, it's unprecedented numbers. And so you ask yourself what is happening in respect of the deterioration when even larger numbers are committed to protecting the good people of this country. And so that's the first thing. And zeroing down to our destiny, obviously there have been concerns, especially in the outskirts where some acts of criminality have been stepped up, especially in the Tamale Metropolis, Sanerugu, and others where the phenomenon of stealing people's motorbikes, because of the lucrative nature of motorbikes deals in the Tamale area. And so this has been a cause of worry. Indeed, there have been times when we have mounted some security checks with participation of the citizenry to deal with some of those issues. Not too long ago, for instance, in Sanerugu, it had to take the collective effort of people in the community to apprehend a group of criminals who even murdered somebody and took his motorbike. And for those groups to be unmasked, and with the participation of the citizens of the area, they were accordingly handed over to the police. As we speak now, we are even waiting for decisive action against those hoodlums. But it goes without saying that security is a collective issue, for which all of us have chance to participate. We are going to help the security as well. And so I, as member of parliament, I've had occasion to even make a representation to the district security to endeavor to expand their operations to cover the outlying areas where, because of the intensity of security at the center, they have moved to the outlying area.
All right. Mr. Fuseni, can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Did I get you in your earlier submission? Do I get a sense that you do not support the deployment of police to protect MPs? You don't fully support that idea?
No, I didn't say that. I always said that for me, the best solution to our security as members of parliament is to have a collective security for all Ghanaians.
Okay.
In fact, if it's possible for the country to be secure, no MP will need any security. And so I'm tying it in the context of security for all Ghanaians. I agree that given the exigencies of our time, MPs need security. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
MPs have come unduly under attack for virtually no justifiable reason. And so I think that some form of protection, without doubt, is needed for MPs. I have not, by any stretch of any imagination, made any such statement. But I'm just indicating that we should go beyond that and look at the generality of security protection for Ghanaians. And when Ghanaians are secure, when the government is able to create a very congenial atmosphere for the safety and security of all persons, people can move out town, do their businesses, do whatever they want to do, and come back in safety and security. That is the best form of security for all Ghanaians. And so I am looking beyond just the narrow confines of selective security to a collective security, where every Ghanaian, and let me put it on record, that this government has a bounding responsibility to secure Ghanaians. In the promise that they made in the run-up to the 2016 election, they told Ghanaians that they will have total security. They will have nothing to fear. Go and read the MPP manifesto. Now we come and it is the opposite. I think it's an indictment, especially at the time when we have the highest number of people. National Security Minister, Deputy National Security Minister, Minister of State in charge of National Security, IGP. You can count them. This is the highest in the history of our country. Yeah, this is one of the most insecure periods.
Mr. Fuseni, we have 20 days to the elections, and many fear that the cases we are reporting in many parts of the country with regards to violence can affect voter turnout due to fear of such incidents recurring during the electioneering period. What are you doing as an MP and working together with those on the ground and other local authorities to ensure that your constituency is safe and your constituents can go out to vote on election day?
Yes, let me first and foremost, as member of parliament, and in fact, the minority, we had the occasion through parliament to call the Minister for Interior to come and give us a brief as to what security measures are being taken to ensure that not only the election, but Ghanaians in their homes and in their various businesses and environment are safe. The Minister of Interior came to give us the assurance that police numbers are being beefed up. They are getting more personnel to deploy into the outlying areas so that they can secure persons and secure areas which hitherto had not been covered. But beyond that, I think that all of us as a people have a duty to also participate. As member of parliament, I'm conscious that we need to also mobilize our people. Towards the elections, we need to get everybody involved in security matters, so that areas where any mischief maker wants to come there and cause mischief, the collective will of the people can defeat any mischief maker. So in our various communities, our various branches and police stations, everybody will be mobilized to make sure that on the day of elections and others, everybody participates in ensuring that the place is secure. So people will come out, vote and remain, and make sure that no mischief maker comes there to cause any trouble. Any troublemaker who comes there will face the entire community. And I can assure that if you want to face the entire community, it's your own business. See whether you can face the entire community and get away. So
when you say face the entire community, what do you mean, Mr. Fuseni? When you say face the entire community, what do you mean? Are you talking about mob justice?
I mean everybody in any community.
Do you mean mob justice?
In the election. So when you vote, you must stay around and ensure, not just at the police station, but just be around and make sure that no mischief maker comes there to cause any trouble. So it's important that everybody gets involved in the election that we are going in, so that we have a very peaceful decision. I think that if everybody is assured that, look, nobody can come here and do anything and get away, everybody will feel a sense of security. So that is why we are saying that the participation of everybody is essential. So in our various communities, everybody will be encouraged to take active interest in the election, not just to go and vote, but to vote and ensure that the atmosphere around the election, around the police stations and others are secure. So that nobody can come and misbehave or do any untoward thing there.
I appreciate. All right, I appreciate your time this morning. ABA Fuseni is MP for Sanerugu, and we're speaking to him on the back of our series focusing on security ahead of the elections. And we're just receiving some news that a man has been shot for attempting to separate two drivers in a brawl. Driver of the private vehicle who did the shooting is said to have shot himself in the head when a mob rushed to the scene, and this happened at Ayediase in Kumasi, just close to the KNUST school. We'll be bringing you more on this as my colleague Nanaya Ojima gets on the ground to gather more information on it. But what we're receiving now is that someone has been shot as a result of a brawl between two drivers. We'll get you definitely all those details. Away from that, former President Jerry John Rawlings has been praised for his role in setting the tone for a peaceful, united and democratic Ghana. Dignitaries who've been signing a book of condolence opened in his honor at the Accra International Conference Center say he was a great statesman who pulled the country together in times of difficulty. Fred Smith has more.
A wet day depicting the mood as a book of condolence is opened in honor of Jerry Rawlings, the man credited with democratic rule in Ghana. A complete somber and the feeling of sadness caps the atmosphere here at the Accra International Conference Center, where a desk with a portrait of the former president in his signature fugu over a white shirt, flowers and the Ghana flag to welcome dignitaries scheduled for the signing. The Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Mike Okwe, Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah, and former President John Mahama, who worked under Mr. Rawlings as a deputy minister, led the pack of dignitaries to sign the book. Others are the UN Deputy Secretary General Abina Mohammed, former Foreign Minister Hannah Tete, prominent lawyer and Council of State member Sam Okujeto, who also signed the book.
Because this country needs reconciliation. Political so-called opponents are not enemies. And when we see people demonstrating and doing vandalism in the name of politics, it is sad. We should take a cue from him. The way he reconciled with our current president, that is something that all of us should learn to copy. Ghanaians are Ghanaians. Tribe is completely irrelevant. You see, he's an Ewe. He's an Anglo man. He was married to an Asante princess. Isn't that something for all of us to learn to understand? That we are one nation, with one people, with one destiny. This is the legacy I think that Jerry John Rawlings has left for all of us. And so let's propagate it. You are from the media. Propagate it. Tell us that we don't have enemies in Ghana. Nobody is an enemy. We are all Ghanaians. You have one way of thinking, I have another way of thinking. It does not make me right and you wrong. Nor you right and me wrong. Some people say that all the fingers are not the same. But you can see that no single figure can do any work without the others. Each is supportive of the other. And this is what nation building is all about. So we need peace and tranquility. Let's bury him with the dignity that he deserves.
Thank you very much, sir. Speaking about the burial, we should take precedent. The state, the party.
He is a former president of Ghana. It is the state's responsibility. But the state, of course, will deal with the consultation with the family. But it is the state's responsibility. Sometimes I have to caution people to appreciate that when you are elected into a position, you become public property. You are no longer your own. You are no longer your own. It is public property. Yes. And I'm not speaking. Hold it. I'm not speaking for the Council of State. I'm speaking as a Ghanaian.
Prominent lawyer and Council of State member Sam Okujeto, who also signed the book, shared his fond memories of the former president despite his long-standing disagreement with him over the coups. Minority Leader in Parliament Haruna Idrisu led a pack of MPs to sign the book.
My heart is still heavy, and my heart.
There's a camera.
Rollis, and to the family of the late Jerry John Rollis. I'm still recovering from a devastated grief, but I've come to eulogize him as Ghana's ever youngest president.
You had the Minority Leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu. Let's head to Kumasi now for details of that story involving a man who has been shot for attempting to separate two drivers in a brawl. Nanaya Ojima has been following the incident which occurred at Ayediase and joins us with details. Hello, Nanaya. What did you pick up when you went to the scene?
So from eyewitnesses at the scene, the driver of the Kia saloon vehicle was driving carelessly, and some people who saw him drive in Ayediase went to him when there was a traffic at a point, went to him to tell him drive cautiously because it's a busy street and he could cause accidents in the road. He didn't take this lightly. So one of the men who confronted him, he slapped one of them, and the man replied the slap. So he immediately went into his vehicle, picked a gun, and shot the man instantly. He shot him 3 times in the stomach. And when he realized that a lot of people were coming around, he went into his vehicle. They prevented him from leaving the scene. Fortunately, police came around immediately. They called the police in. Police came around immediately and asked the man to surrender. But according to eyewitnesses, he would not budge to it, and he shot himself immediately when he realized that there were a lot of people who were aggressive in the area and were in support of the police trying to disarm him and take him away. So he shot himself right at the scene. And what I'm learning is that the two have been picked and they are at the KNUST hospital at the moment, but we cannot confirm whether they are alive or dead. And that is what we are working on presently. So this is what happened this morning at Ayediase. The people there are so surprised, even though due to the busy nature of the area, there are a number of times there have been quarrels among drivers on the stretch and drivers and also pedestrians on the stretch. It has never degenerated into such levels.
All right, so if I get you, Nanayao, the story is that a man who was engaged in a brawl with another driver shot that driver and shot himself.
All right, so this is the incident. The man was driving carelessly. The people around who saw him drive carelessly went to him when there was some traffic in front of him to warn him about the way he's driving and that he could cause an accident.
Right.
And he didn't take this lightly.
Okay.
He slapped one of the men who approached him, and the man replied the slap. And due to that, he went into his vehicle, picked a gun, and shot the man who replied the slap, who returned the slap.
All right, so was there at any point someone who tried to separate the two of them?
According to the people, after they trading slaps, they thought everything that was it. So he was going back into his vehicle, but unfortunately, he brought out a gun. So all the people around, when they saw the gun, stepped back. Even though this man that replied the slap was also afraid, he came to him purposely. He came to him directly, and he shot him at that instance.
All right. How many people were involved in that brawl?
A number of people had approached him. According to the people, they couldn't give me specifically the number of people who went there. But 2 people I spoke to, one who was having a conversation with the man who has been shot, Mr. Amwa, and who also and one other who watched the incident said they had all rushed onto him to tell him to drive with care because it's been happening on the stretch where people drive carelessly around. So they had gone to warn him not to do so, to drive with caution, that the area is a busy road and it could cause accidents.
Well, you mentioned the police came there. Have we received any word from them?
Not yet. The police didn't speak to us on the scene. They told us they will give their version of the story later, but they are now putting together a report on what actually happened or what they saw. But I'm learning that there was a police woman who also saw what went down there. She is a guard of one of the banks in that area. So she saw what went down there, and the police will put all of that in their report and give the media some briefing later.
All right. Thank you, Nanaya. We'll leave you to gather more information on this story that's developing from Ayidiase in Kumasi. You're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Thank you for joining the program. But coming up shortly in business, the German Development Agency has signed a development partnership with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to support the digitization of small and medium-scale businesses in the country. Dao is standing by with details.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The German Development Agency, GIZ, has signed a development partnership with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to support the digitalization of small and medium-scale businesses in the country. The project, which is expected to benefit more than 12,000 people, involves the disbursement of some 1.5 million euros to SMEs that want to invest in their presence virtually. Now, Executive Director of the Board, Kosianki Aye, was confident that this will be a game changer for the MSME sector. Here's a report.
The grant agreement, known as the COVID-19 SME Innovation and Digitization Support Scheme, is expected to provide Ghanaian SMEs with digital solutions as a strategy to adapt to emerging market demands brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. A third partner, the Digital Transformation Center, also implemented by GIZ Ghana, will be responsible for supporting this project with technical expertise. Executive Director of NBSSI, Kosianki, in an interview after signing the agreement, explains how it will benefit more than 500 micro and small businesses.
It's a 1.5 million euro, which is 10 million Ghana cedis approximately. Our goal is to bring on board partners who would go into about 500 MSMEs and provide them with the tools and the needs that they have under digitalization. If it's a website, if it's an e-commerce portal, if it's even access to payment systems, if it's access to opportunities to sell their products at a time like this. Because if you're aware, when COVID-19 really happened, it impacted the way we do business. It impacted how we receive funding. So to be able to strengthen the businesses, our partnership with GIZ focuses on really building the strength of these businesses so that we can grow them at a time such as this.
Head of the Network for Inclusive Economic Development Cluster at the GIZ Ghana, Gerard Guskowski, told Joy Business that the initiative will help micro businesses avoid more negative impact from the COVID-19 pandemic.
The National Board of Small-Scale Industries, and therefore we knew that that could be an interesting partner for something like that. And then, of course, also the responsibility given to the NBSSI with respect to COVID-19 by the government of Ghana. So this was an ideal partner. So together we were thinking of how to design such a program that's keeping businesses alive in these difficult times. And therefore, for us, one of the key items is digitalization. And we know that Ghana is relatively advanced in digitalization, but of course you have huge gaps in the society, talking from rural to urban, for example, but also from business to businesses, depending on the environment they are operating in.
The signing of this agreement marks a critical turning point for SMEs in Ghana that have been affected by the outbreak of the coronavirus.
That's all in business. Sports is coming up next.
This is still News Desk, but we are doing sports now, and the Black Stars are in action today. George Addo Jr. has all the details.
Yeah, so what we talk about, well, they are looking to qualify. They can qualify if they manage to win against Sudan in Omdurman. That's the game we're expecting at 1 p.m. Ghana time. Special one. You want to look out for that. So I'm sure there have been quite a number of conversations about who's going to be starting for the Black Stars, who's going to be playing where. That's one that we're all keeping our tabs on. We're yet to get the official lineup, but of course we have some inside sources that are indicating a number of players that are going to be in. So for instance, there is no Andre Ayew.
Why?
Oh, of course, Andre Ayew couldn't make the trip. He's injured.
He's injured.
They're away. And then Richard Ofori as well.
Also injured?
No, he's suspended for the game. And then, so if you look at it, all the three captains are not there. There's no Didi Ayew, who's the main captain. There's no Thomas Partey, who's assistant captain. There's no...
Who's injured?
Yes. There's no Richard Ofori, who is the assistant too. So we need a new captain. It appears Jordan Ayew is going to be the captain for today's game. And I've seen comments about why not John Boy, rather Jordan Ayew. And I think from the little investigations we've done, Jordan Ayew started playing the Black Stars before John Boy, so you want to check that again.
Okay.
So in terms of experience, he's got some. You can do analysis about whether you think he doesn't have the leadership qualities. But what do you have to say about John Boy again? There's an area I don't really want to go in. If the coach wants to go with Jordan Ayew, that's fine. Yeah. So a few changes. I was just going to give an.
But George, what would the impact of this be on our game?
Oh, the impact of this, you know what? I think the guys have done the job. All they need to do is go out there and get a win.
And will all the exclusions give us that
I
win?
agree that Andre Ayew was the main man in Cape Coast. He's got the 2 goals and was very good, but I think that we still have enough talent. Mubra Kwakasu is coming to midfield alongside Efri Akwa. That's not bad, is it? I think a few questions again about why Nicholas Opoku is playing a right back. He's a centre back by trade. And then, there's Baba Rahman. You've got Alexander Jiku. You've got... John Boy right in there. Then you have Tariq Fusu. You have Jeffrey Schlopp back in the squad.
Oh.
And there's going to be a Kuban, Calibre Kuban, playing up front with Jordan Ayew trying to make or give him the passes right there. So it's not a bad side going into this, but they need to try as much as possible to get the result and close this Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. I think we'll see Ghana in the Africa Cup of Nations. The main question remains, can we win it? Can we win it? That's just been... And we are remembering the late president, J.J. Rawlings. He was the president when we won the last Africa Cup of Nations in 1982. If there's any sort of tribute, it should be winning the Africa Cup of Nations. Andrea, you said after the game against Sudan that they did it in honor of the late J.J. Rawlings. But I'm saying win the trophy for him if you can.
I like that. George, to the Black Star squad, win the trophy for Rawlings. A lot of people have spoken about what will be a great honor to his memory, and I think that in the sports fraternity, this would be it. Well, that's how we end this edition of News Desk. Thanks so much for your company. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. For my entire team and myself, we wish you the very best of the day. Do stay with us here, your most credible news source.